It was supposed to be a quiet weekend, just a father and his son hiking through the Bitterroot Mountains of Montana. Daniel Reed was a man of routine, and this trip was their ritual. One trail up, one trail down. They were expected home by Sunday evening, but they never came back. No phone call, no radio contact, no flares or messages. The forest took them, and for 8 years, nothing was ever found. No clothing, no remains, not even a broken twig that told a story. Until one cold September morning, a solo hiker stumbled on a blue child's backpack, half buried between two stones beside Cold Pine Creek. Water-worn, weather-bleached, but inside was a drawing, one that told a story far more disturbing than anyone was ready for. Because it wasn't just a drawing of a father and a son. It showed 3 people, and written in crayon beside them was a name no one had ever mentioned in the original case files. What happened in those woods? And who was the third person? Daniel Reed was the kind of man who made you feel safe in a room. He was a 39-year-old schoolteacher from Hamilton, Montana, a town that sits quietly between pine forests and winding roads, where everyone knows everyone's business, and that's just the way they like it. Daniel had lived in the same modest blue house on Cascade Street for over a decade. His late wife, Melissa, had passed away from an aneurysm when their son Liam was only 5 years old. After that, everything changed. Daniel became quieter, more structured. But one thing remained constant. Every year, on the same weekend in early June, he would take Liam hiking. It wasn't just a trip. It was a promise. Liam, by all accounts, was a gentle boy, quiet like his father, but with a vivid imagination and a love for drawing. He rarely went anywhere without a sketch pad. His teacher said he had an old soul. His aunt, Ellie Barnes, Daniel's younger sister, described him as too good for this world. That year, the trip was to Pine Ridge Lookout, a moderate 6-mile trail with an elevation of just over 7,000 feet. They'd done it before, twice. It was scenic, predictable, with cell signal most of the way. June 4th, 2017, 6:12 a.m. Trailhead logbook entry. Daniel Reed, 1 adult, 1 child, headed to Pine Ridge. They weren't expected back until Sunday afternoon. Ellie had planned to drop off dinner at the house that evening, a tradition. She'd made meatloaf, left the porch light on, texted Daniel around 4:30. No reply. Called an hour later. Straight to voicemail. By 9:15 p.m., she was pacing in the driveway. By 10:02, she called the sheriff. Search and rescue mobilized within 12 hours. The first responders were locals, rangers, volunteers, off-duty EMTs who knew those trails. Drones went up. 9 units were deployed. Helicopters circled above the pine canopy. They found the trailhead footprints. They found an empty fire ring near the halfway point, where Daniel and Liam had likely stopped for lunch. They even found the apple cores. But nothing beyond that. No signs of a struggle. No blood. No torn clothing. No dropped flashlight. Nothing. It was as if the mountain had opened its arms and taken them whole. The weeks that followed were a blur of heartbreak and headlines. Father and son missing in Bitterroot. Search suspended after weather turns. Hope fades as day 14 passes with no signs. The search was called off after 2 weeks. Ellie begged them to continue. She went on local TV, held up Liam's drawings, pleaded with the public. But there were no new leads. Just one strange detail. On day 10, a volunteer SAR hiker claimed to have found a single child-sized boot print over 6 miles northeast of their intended trail, near Cold Pine Creek. It was pointed away from the trailhead. No prints before or after. Just one. Investigators dismissed it as unrelated. The volunteer's name was never officially logged. Back in Hamilton, Daniel's house was cleared out 6 months later. The school replaced his position quietly. Ellie kept his journals, his compass, and Liam's sketchbooks, though many were never found. The last known drawing was one Liam had given her 2 weeks before the trip, a picture of him and his dad sitting by a campfire, and a dog he said he hoped they'd meet. No one ever figured out what he meant. Could Liam have sensed something? Or met someone before? September 13th, 2025. Tom Mercer, 64, a retired firefighter and weekend hiker, is walking along Cold Pine Creek. The weather is crisp, sun just peeking through the branches. He slips near a wet rock ledge and catches himself against a large split boulder. Something catches his eye. Blue nylon wedged between two stones. He reaches down and pulls out a backpack, small, faded, but clearly a child's. The zipper is rusted. The straps are frayed. It has a cartoon squirrel patch sewn onto the back. Tom opens it carefully. Inside, he finds a sketchbook with half-ruined pages, a child's water bottle cracked, a silver locket with a faded photo inside, a woman with auburn hair and green eyes, and a drawing. It's a child's drawing, water-warped but visible. 3 people holding hands. 1 taller figure labeled Dad. 1 smaller, me. The third, a woman, smiling. Above her, scrawled in crayon, Gail. Tom doesn't know the significance, but when he returns home, he does something remarkable. He calls the Bitterroot County Sheriff's Office. The call is routed to the FBI within 48 hours. Agent Nora Kilmer is assigned the case. Mid-40s, detail-obsessed, recently transferred from the Missing and Unidentified Persons Unit in Quantico. She doesn't believe in coincidences. She's the type who reviews cases by laying evidence out on floors, not desks. She flies to Montana 3 days later. When she opens the evidence bag with the locket inside, she freezes. The photo inside isn't unfamiliar. She cross-references it with an old DMV record. Melissa Reed, Daniel's late wife. This is the locket Melissa was buried with. Ellie Reed is contacted. She hasn't heard Liam's name spoken in public in 6 years. When shown the drawing, her voice cracks. "That's his handwriting," she says. "That's Liam's." She holds the drawing, trembles, and adds, "But I've never heard of a Gail." A search is reopened. This time it's different. Thermal drones, ground-penetrating radar, interviews with every SAR team member from 2017. One name stands out, Michael Grady, the man who reported the lone boot print near Cold Pine Creek. He never showed up in the original SAR volunteer lists. There is no Michael Grady in Montana's SAR records at all. Meanwhile, Agent Kilmer begins piecing something together. The locket was buried with Melissa in 2012. The necklace went missing after her burial, but no grave disturbance was reported. Liam used to wear it around the house sometimes, Ellie confirms, as a way to feel close to his mom. So how did it end up in a backpack, near a creek, 8 years after he vanished? And more importantly, who is Gail? A false volunteer, a hidden name. A missing child's locket reappears. What connects them all? 8 years is a long time to live without answers. For Ellie Barnes, every day since her brother and nephew vanished has been lived in halves. Half hope, half grief. No closure, just silence. But now, she has a backpack, and inside it, something that shouldn't exist. Her sister-in-law's locket, the one they buried with her, now resting inside a child's bag found near Cold Pine Creek, miles off any known trail. The FBI reopens the case officially. Bitterroot County makes a public statement. "We are treating this as an ongoing investigation. All leads are active, but the case isn't cold anymore. It's burning." Date, September 19th, 2025. Agent Nora Kilmer stands in a room filled with old boxes, scan maps, and photographs pinned to a wall like fragments of a broken puzzle. She studies every detail. The last known GPS coordinates, Daniel's trail log handwriting, weather conditions from June 2017, volunteer SAR rosters. There's one undeniable truth. Daniel and Liam never reached the Pine Ridge Lookout. Something diverted them. And now, a second strange coincidence. The name Gail appears in Liam's drawing, but no one in Daniel or Ellie's life ever knew a woman by that name. Until now, Kilmer runs a database sweep. Gail Hemsworth, a woman who went missing in the same forest in 2013, 4 years before Daniel and Liam vanished. She was 26, a solo backpacker, described as eccentric by her family. Car was found parked at the Lower Trail Junction. No remains, no items ever recovered. Case was closed quietly, presumed animal attack. But Kilmer notices something odd in Gail's missing persons report, something the original investigators overlooked. Her last journal entry, emailed to a friend, reads, "I met someone out here. I think he's been living off-grid. It's strange, but I don't feel scared. Not yet. Kilmer circles that line. Living off-grid. She knows what that could mean. 2 weeks later, Kilmer invites Ellie to return with her to Cold Pine Creek. She agrees, but only under one condition. If there's even the slightest chance Liam's alive, I want to be the one to feel it first. It's raining when they arrive. The trees drip with mist. Moss covers rocks like skin. Birds scatter as their boots crunch through pine needles. The spot where Tom Mercer found the backpack is now taped off and flagged. Kilmer watches as Ellie kneels beside the stones and presses her fingers to the earth. He was here, Ellie says softly. I know it. I know my nephew. Kilmer doesn't say anything. She's watching Ellie, but also scanning the area. A new search team begins grid work around the creek. Within an hour, AK-9 team hits on something under a rotten log. It's another item, a rusted tin lunchbox. Inside, waterlogged paper, nearly unreadable. But Kilmer carefully separates the pages. One is salvageable, a journal entry, in Daniel Reed's handwriting. Day 4. I don't know who she is. She says her name is Gail. She showed up near our camp after dark. Said she was lost. Liam thinks she's nice. I'm not so sure. I haven't seen her blink. Kilmer's breath catches. The next page is worse. Day 6. I don't know where Liam is. She says he's sleeping, but I've checked every inch of this place. Something's wrong with her. Her smile doesn't move. I think she's drugging us. The page ends abruptly. Ellie breaks down. Was Gail ever just one woman? Or a name used by someone? Hunting? FBI behavioral analyst report if Gail Hemsworth had indeed met someone off-grid, and that same person resurfaced during Daniel and Liam's hike, we may be dealing with a predatory pattern disguised as coincidence. This is not random. The individual may have been living off the land, waiting, grooming victims. The case takes on a darker tone. Now, it's not just about survival. It's about intent. Meanwhile, a breakthrough from the sketchbook found in the backpack had been severely water damaged. Most pages were useless, but lab technicians using infrared imaging uncover faint pressure lines on one page, the remnants of a pencil outline never inked in. It reveals something chilling, a hand-drawn map. Crude, childlike, but unmistakably real. A cabin, a stream, a bridge made of stone. And on the last corner, in the handwriting they now confirm belongs to Liam. This is where we stayed before she left again. She left again. The wording rattles Kilmer. It suggests movement, repetition, and most terrifying of all, duration. How long were Liam and Daniel alive? How many days, weeks, months? Kilmer cross-references old satellite images using archived satellite and thermal imaging from 2017. She overlays the hand-drawn map onto real terrain. One possible match, an overgrown patch near the base of Red Rock Cliff, about 11 miles off the original trail, beyond a section previously considered inaccessible. A recon drone is launched. Within 30 minutes, they find it. A collapsed structure, a primitive cabin, roof caved in, vines swallowing its walls. But the chimney remains. So do the carved markings in the doorframe. Ellie isn't prepared for what comes next. When she steps inside, she finds the wall etchings deep, jagged. There are dozens of drawings, some crude, some recent, but one stops her cold. It's a figure standing in a doorway, holding a stick in one hand, waving with the other. A boy. Liam's size, Liam's shape, carved beneath it. Run. Back at the lab, a DNA swab from the lunchbox confirms it. Liam Reed was alive at this site, and Daniel's blood is found on the doorframe, mixed with someone else's. A partial match. Gail Hemsworth. But she wasn't supposed to be alive anymore. If Gail vanished in 2013 and Liam vanished in 2017, then who was living in that cabin before either of them? The mountain was no longer just a backdrop. It was becoming a character of its own. A cold, silent keeper of stories half told and lies half lived. And now, for the first time, the evidence was beginning to whisper the truth. Not just about what happened to Daniel and Liam, but about the kind of mind that may have orchestrated it. FBI field office, behavioral analysis briefing agent Nora Kilmer meets with a small task force of specialists, wilderness survival experts, forensic linguists, and a profiler from the FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit. They've reviewed the drawings, Daniel's journal fragment, and Liam's sketchbook entries. Whoever Gail was, she didn't just appear. She'd been watching, stalking, possibly luring. And more disturbing, she may not have been working alone. The map Liam drew had 2 cabins on it. One larger, one marked with an X. Kilmer replays a chilling theory out loud. What if Gail wasn't a name? What if it was a role? Someone may have taken Gail's name as a cover. Or worse, more than one person had. Forensic lab. New evidence surfaces back at the cabin site. Searchers discover a second journal, hidden inside a false panel beneath a rotted floorboard. Its pages are dated, but the dates are inconsistent. Some are from 2012, others from 2015, some with no dates at all. The handwriting varies, sometimes elegant, sometimes erratic. The content? Ramblings, observations, obsession. One page reads, "He let the boy draw again today. They always feel safe when they're told they're chosen. The boy has her eyes. I think she'd approve." Another page simply says, "Do not let Daniel near the edge again. He's watching me." He remembers Gail. This isn't a survivor's journal. It's a predator's. Kilmer doesn't say it aloud, but everyone in the room is thinking the same thing. Daniel and Liam were being studied. Like a long-term psychological experiment. What kind of person uses the wilderness to rewrite people's realities? Red Rock Cliff region. Drone survey analysis satellite thermal imaging from as far back as 2013 reveals something Kilmer finds deeply disturbing. Every year, between May and September, small heat signatures are recorded deep in the Bitterroot Mountains. Same area, same patterns. Disappearances reported nearby in 2011, 2013, and 2017. Each time, hikers, solo campers, or pairs. Each time, no bodies recovered. This isn't random. This is territory. The false volunteer, a name with no past. Kilmer revisits the 2017 SAR roster. She's looking again at the man who reported the child's boot print near Cold Pine Creek, the man who went by Michael Grady. His name was never in any official database. No driver's license. No social security. No SAR certifications. A phantom. But a background trace on the call record from the ranger station shows something strange. On day 8 of the original search, a call was made from the ranger's landline to a burner cell in Idaho. Number was never followed up. Why would a volunteer SAR responder need to make a call from a ranger's landline? To a number outside Montana? Kilmer gets the phone's dump logs. One name keeps popping up in fragments of recovered texts. Gee, she pulls the ranger logs from that week. Only 2 people had access to the radio room unsupervised. One was a seasonal ranger named Eric Dorsey. The other? No matching ID. An unnamed temporary volunteer signed in for 4 days. Signature, G. Hemsworth. But Gail Hemsworth disappeared in 2013. Kilmer double-checks her DMV records. Same face. Same signature. But here's the catch. That signature was signed 4 years after her disappearance. It wasn't just that Gail Hemsworth had vanished. It was that someone had continued using her name, wearing her life, pretending to be her. Psychological profile emerges. The BU profiler returns a summary. Subject may suffer from delusional attachment disorder. Could believe they're continuing the life of a person they either admired or murdered. Pattern indicates psychological grooming. Targeting small families, especially those with emotionally vulnerable members. The subject builds a narrative, isolating them, manipulating them, and then replacing their reality. In simple terms, they don't kill the body. They erase the identity. Back in the forest, new discovery 3 days into the reopened search. A ranger's dog uncovers a shallow stone pile near a ravine less than a mile from the collapsed cabin. Shreds of a man's windbreaker, matching Daniel's known clothing. A metal flask engraved with initials Dr. and a small, sealed tin containing teeth. Human. Adult. One confirmed match, Daniel Reed. But there are 4 more. 2 appear to be from a different adult. Female. 1, painfully, comes back as a juvenile match. But not Liam. Unknown. Possibly another child. If those aren't Liam's remains, who else died out there? Scene fades as Ellie watches the forest in silence. A tear rolls down her cheek. Behind her, Kilmer whispers to a colleague, "We aren't chasing a missing persons case anymore. We're chasing a predator who believes they're a ghost." The Bitterroot Mountains had given back scraps. Shreds of clothing, a backpack, a drawing. But the full truth, whatever happened to Daniel and Liam Reed, still remained tangled somewhere between moss-covered roots and the fractured mind of a phantom who used names like masks. Agent Nora Kilmer wasn't sleeping. She was reassembling timelines, DNA matches, journal fragments, and forensic maps night after night. Her wall was a mosaic of red string and faded faces. One clue, however, kept gnawing at her. Liam's map. Crude, childlike, and fragile, but specific. 2 cabins, one marked with an X, and beyond the X, a symbol he'd drawn in several pages. A box, rectangular, vented, like a school locker, and one word written again and again beside it in faint pencil. Whispers. What is the locker? She orders a drone flight over the trail beyond Red Rock Cliff, beyond the area previously searched. Thermal imaging shows something unexpected. Half a mile deeper into the woods, nestled in a patch of overgrowth, the imaging picks up a rectangular structure, half submerged in a collapsed drainage tunnel from a decommissioned mining site. There had been a logging camp there back in the 1970s. Now, it's nothing but silence and rot. Kilmer and her team hike in. What they find inside changes the case forever. The underground bunker, the structure, isn't a cabin. It's a concrete room with rusted pipes running overhead. Mold creeps along the walls. At its center, nailed into the wall, is what appears to be an old row of school lockers, stolen, maybe, or repurposed. One stands out, numbered 413, spray-painted in red. Its surface is covered in childlike carvings. Kilmer opens it slowly. Inside, a folded child's sleeping bag, a stack of crumpled notebook pages, drawings and writings, unmistakably Liam's hand. A child's hoodie, faded blue, and, at the very back, a single Polaroid photo taped to the metal wall. The photo shows Liam. His eyes are red. He looks thin, pale, scared. But he's holding something, a laminated index card. On it is a sentence written in block letters. Smile for Gail. Family forever. Kilmer stares at it for a long time. Then, she breaks protocol. She leaves the room to cry. Ellie confronts the evidence later that evening. Inside a temporary FBI field tent, Ellie is shown the photo. She can't speak. She grips the edge of the table and sinks into the chair like gravity has doubled. After several minutes, she says, "That's him." But that's not how he smiles. The drawings from the locker are even more disturbing. Several show a house on fire. Others depict 2 women with the same face. One smiling, one with red eyes, and one drawing, folded and hidden beneath the sleeping bag, is the worst of all. It shows Daniel, on his knees, hands raised. Standing behind him, a woman, holding something, not a knife, a mirror. Forced identity dissolution. A forensic psychologist from the BU studies the drawings and journals. Their summary? The child may have been subjected to long-term reality manipulation. He was likely isolated, renamed, given false stories, and told his real identity was a lie. It's a tactic used in cults and abductions. You don't need bars. You just erase the past. One recovered page is haunting. It's a scribbled phrase, repeated down the margins like punishment lines. I am not Liam. I am not Liam. I am not Liam. Then, Liam is gone. Gail loves me. What happens when a child is trained to forget they ever existed? A tooth DNA confirms one item found inside the locker belonged to Liam. A baby tooth preserved in a jar of what appeared to be honey. Ellie collapses when she sees it. But the twist isn't in the tooth itself. It's in the sticky note attached to the jar. For when he forgets his smile again, whoever wrote that had plans. Liam's voice. Back at the lab, technicians restore one of the cassette tapes found inside the locker. When played, it produces static, then faint breathing, then a voice. A child's, whispering. She says, "You're not real. But I remember your laugh, Dad. I remember the fire. I remember." She got mad because I said your name. I hope the wind tells you where I am. I love you, Aunt Ellie. If I don't see you again, maybe you'll find this. Maybe the mountains will remember. Then silence. Ellie can't breathe. She grips the headphones as if trying to climb through them. The room stands still. No one speaks. Because they all know Liam was alive. Long after the search ended. If Liam was alive long enough to record that, could he still be? The forest hadn't given them a body. Not for Daniel. Not for Liam. Just whispers. Fragments. A photo. A tape. But no truth worth holding like closure. Only pieces sharp enough to bleed with. Weeks passed. FBI mobile units packed up. Ellie remained in Montana, refusing to return to Oregon. She wasn't ready to stand in a house without her brother or nephew. She stayed near the Bitterroot line in a borrowed ranger cabin. And every day, she looked out at the mountain, waiting for something. 2.4 miles northwest on a routine calibration test, a secondary drone team launched one last aerial grid. Just clean up work. Make sure nothing was missed. The drone's pilot noticed something strange on thermal. Not a heat signature, but a shape. Geometric. Rectangular. Hidden beneath a lattice of pine canopy. And not new. It was man-made. They sent a team in the next morning. What they found broke every agent's silence. The pine cradle buried in a shallow hollow under a thicket of collapsed branches was a wooden chest, about the size of a large cooler, sealed with rusted iron latches and partially buried. The outside was carved. Rough symbols, possibly tribal or personal. On top, a child's mitten neatly folded. Inside the box were only two things: a rolled-up tarp containing ash, fragments of bone, and half-burned pages from a spiral notebook. A single object inside a Ziploc bag. A carved figurine of a deer with a broken leg. Ellie was called to identify the items. Ellie's response: she recognized the figurine immediately. Daniel carved that in 2014, right after Liam broke his leg falling off a sled. Said it would protect the kid's bones. He used to make up stories like that. The forensic team extracted what DNA they could from the bone fragments. Results were inconclusive. The samples were too degraded. But there was one other object inside the tarp, partially melted. A melted portion of a driver's license. The name? Not Daniel Reed. Not anyone in the registry. Just M. Gail Anderson. Gail wasn't a fake name. It was a legacy. The inherited identity theory. The FBI consulted with criminal behavior analysts from Quantico. Their conclusion was disturbing. It's possible the abductor was raised by someone who had also stolen identities. She didn't invent her methods. She inherited them. Gail may not have been her real name. It may have been someone she was forced to become. She repeated the trauma cycle on Liam. A broken chain of stolen names, passed down like heirlooms. Each new child forced to forget. Her voice, a final tape recovered from the bunker, was heavily damaged. But audio experts cleaned one piece. A woman's voice. Not Ellie. Not any family member. Slow. Crooning. Detached. You don't miss them. You never had them. I'm your home now. Repeat it. Liam is a dream. You are Elias now. Elias belongs to Gail. The tape cuts to static. Ellie walks out of the room. She doesn't return for 2 hours. Ellie at the tree line 1 week later. Ellie hikes the trail alone. No camera crew. No rangers. No FBI. Just her. She climbs past Red Rock Cliff. Past the marker where Liam's drawing had placed the X. And there, at the base of an ancient cedar, she finds something new. A bundle of flowers. Wild mountain lilies. Fresh. Arranged in a child's pattern. Next to them, another drawing. Crisp. New paper. A deer. With a bandaged leg. And written beside it in messy print. The forest kept me safe. But I miss your laugh. Ellie falls to her knees. She doesn't cry. She smiles. Not because she's found him, but because he's still out there. Some people vanish because they're taken. Others vanish because the world forgets how to look. But Liam Reed, he's out there. And he remembers.